Evening. Hello, hello. Welcome to Well Hades.
Hello,
Oops.
hello, hello. Go ahead.
Of course, I'm Jan.
I'm Brandy.
And again, welcome to Well Hades. We're glad that you tuned in tonight. Thank you. Keep coming in. We see different ones have showed up.
Yes.
Blessings to you, Sister Sonia. Blessings to Elder Bailey, Sister Connie, Miss Jamil, Gail, Quarry.
All
Y'all are
right.
here. Y'all are
They
in the
are
house.
here.
So, hey, Shania. And we're glad.
Hello,
Yes, yes.
hello.
Good evening.
Oh, wow.
Good
We
evening.
appreciate you all being here.
Yes, thank you for your support. Obviously, we've got a hot topic that we've been talking about. We know Valentine's Day is coming, and even outside of Valentine's Day, blessings to you, Sister Sean. We
Yes.
want to make sure, and Evangelist Esther,
Praise the
hello,
Lord to
everybody. Yes,
everybody. Welcome to Well Hades. Let's just dive on in,
yes,
everyone.
yes,
So, you want to go ahead and open
yes,
it up?
yes, ma'am. So we're talking about love versus lust. I know these past couple of weeks we've been talking about different temptations, different things. So we've gone through our last show, courting versus dating, was a really hot show, and we had a lot of questions that came from that show, even from the prior shows before then. We had some more questions. And as a matter of fact, our show tonight, Love versus Lust, was inspired by one of our viewers. So we thank you, and we want you to know that we do appreciate and do take in your inquiries. So thank you for that. And as Mr. Brandy said, we're going to jump right in
Yes.
because we know it's a hot topic. We know that we're coming up on February, the month of
Yes.
love. I will tell you, Valentine's Day is my absolute favorite holiday out of all the holidays. That's no offense towards Christmas and blah, blah, blah. I know Christmas is not Jesus' official birthday, got that. But I just love Valentine's Day because I love love. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. But we need to know that there is a difference between love versus lust.
That is right.
Hi, Dr. Moore. Oh
Well,
my gosh, how
hello.
are you? Oh, Dr.
Hello.
Moore's in the house. Hey.
Welcome,
Yes,
welcome,
welcome.
everybody. But we're
Yes.
diving in talking about this love versus lust. So
Yes.
let's just go ahead and let's just talk about it.
Yes.
You want to go ahead and share?
Yeah. So when we talk about love versus lust, a lot of times when we think about lust, we'll start there first. We know that lust is more, when we think of lust, really you can lust after anything.
That's right.
But for the context of this particular show,
Mhm.
we're talking about physical attraction. We're talking about being attracted
That's
to
right.
someone else as well. So we are looking at lust. And with lust, we know that's more of a physical gratification
Uh-huh.
where someone is looking to, it's more of a sexual attraction. It's more, um, more needy. It's
Yes.
more, it's just for a one purpose and one
Yes.
intention. And when I think of love versus lust, one example of lust I think about is in the Bible when we talk about Tamar and having to deal with her brother Absalom. For those of you who are not familiar with the scripture, there's a scripture over in the book of Genesis that describes how there was King David had a son named Absalom, and Absalom was smitten by it was actually his half sister Tamar. It said he wanted her, he yearned for her to the point of making him sick physically. And that's lets us know that's also a part of lust, because lust is, it'll make you crave for things that you should not crave for, and it kind of takes away your common sense and your wisdom. And so he really he was very attracted rather, to his sister, and to the point where he told one of his servants, he set up this plot to set her up so that he could take her in, and he raped her. And that reminds me of what lust looks like, because lust wants to take advantage of you. And so when after he had his way with her and she left out in shame, the Bible turns around and tells us that he hated her more than he loved her. And that scripture, that part really stood out to me, because it's more, when you're dealing with lust, it's selfish. It's all about you in that moment. It's what you want. Yes, exactly. It is fueled
He's
by
still on our
selfishness.
words.
Yeah. It's fueled by selfishness. It's it's me. Let me get what I want right now, regardless of who I'm hurting, no matter who's, you know, what the impact may be. And we have to be careful because lust does not consider anybody but itself. It's very consuming. It's all about myself. It's all about you in that moment. You have no consideration for that other person's feelings, their thoughts,
Right.
who they are as an individual. You just want what you want in that moment. And I know, Brandy, you had some information too about what you
Yes. Well,
research lust to be.
hello. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're just joining, welcome to Well
Yes.
Hades.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Y'all are in
Let's
the
just
house.
be open and honest, and let's just be transparent, and let's talk about it, right? Love versus lust. So I broke down material so that we can stay on track.
Yes.
So basically, what I want to start off with sharing is love grows slowly. Love is a form of security. Love shows security, protection. Love is level headed. Now, and I do not own what I am sharing with you. These are not my materials, but I wanted to break them down. Love is level headed. Love is patient. Love starts with friendship because we got to know how to communicate. Love, there's a future. You're looking to build a future when love is really taking place. Love gives. Love is not about take. Love gives. Now, when we talk about lust, a lot of people, you hear them say, oh, I loved them at first sight. Well, you may have lust them at first sight because a lot of times it's that attraction that we have physically before we even open our mouths and communicate to one another. It's that outer appearance that we're seeing for that woman, and for that man, it's his physique as well. We're going to see one another before we can even start to talk about something. Lust is also jealous. Lust is jealousy. Lust is distracting.
Yes.
Lust is impatient. Lust is about today. It's all about the right now. What can I get right now? What are you going to give me right now? What can I have right now? There is no patience at all. When we start to talk about love versus lust, we're talking about lust, and lust takes. So lust actually takes away from what love is. Love does the opposite, and it gives. And so we're not just talking to you just in general. We're talking from experience. We're talking from being once married and now widows. We're talking on a natural aspect as well as a spiritual aspect. So I wanted to break that down, and let's break that down just a little bit farther. Gratification only. I know you talking about it. So love and lust. So love gives, love waits. Love is respectful. Love forgives. Love is unselfish. Love is generous. Love protects. Love is faithful. Love upholds. Now, this is love. That's all love. So you go ahead.
And it makes me think, because when you talk about that, and I was looking at some of the comments, gratification only, Dr. Moore said. And you know, when you talk about love, genuine love, it is patient, it gives, you know, because a lot of times, I know we talked in our last show even about marriage. And a lot of times we mentioned that sometimes people do get married just for the sake of lust, but you have to have something more grounded, because there's going to come like Dr. Moore even mentioned on our show last week, you know, what happens when that spouse has an injury or something happens. And I remember, you know, having to learn that, you know, in my own marriage, as I mentioned prior, you know, just making when we first came into the marriage, yes, we were friends. We had built this relationship. It's funny because I often share when me and my husband first met, or my late husband first met, I was actually sending him to singles conferences to meet other people, because I had no clue that God was going to end up putting us together. So we had time to build a relationship and friendship, but then there was a level of lust as well too. And so once we got into the marriage, things were going well, of course, as well as they can be. You know, marriage has its ups and downs. But you have to learn to grow through it, and that's where the test of love really comes in. And when he, you know, suffered his injury, I had to learn in that moment, okay, now he's injured. Now he can no longer gratify you in a certain manner. Are you going to stay or are you going to leave? Because
That's
like
it.
you said,
That's it.
genuine love is tested by fire.
Yes,
And
it
it's, and when
is.
we make those vows, a lot of times when we go to the altar with death do us part and sickness and health, we a lot of times we're
Ooh,
not really thoroughly thinking about what we're
no, you're
saying.
not.
But lust will cause you to overlook those things,
Yes, it will.
or even just the excitement. I don't want to blame all of that on lust because sometimes you're excited.
Indeed.
Nobody comes into marriage knowing having all the answers.
Correct.
Some stuff is what I call OTJ. It's on the
On the
job
job.
training. Some stuff you can learn from books, but there's some stuff you just gonna learn from going through the experience of being married and learning how to love. Love is a growing thing.
Yes, it is.
Lust will burn out,
Yes, it
but
will.
love continues to grow. And this is why we have to be so careful, even when we are in a loving relationship, that we don't give up too soon. Sometimes
Ooh.
when things get rough, we want to run right at the in this moment, and you have to make sure, um yes, exactly, not thinking of the gravity of the vows at all. You're not, you're just, oh my god, you're excited and you're ready to go forward. But
That's
there,
right.
and a lot of times we're in marriage, we have to be careful, that we run off too soon.
Yes,
Sometimes and you don't even know the best is getting ready to come in that marriage, but because you had an argument
that's
and you
it.
had a disagreement, you want to leave.
That's
Well,
it.
what happens, because a lot of times, what if this, and I've had some people say, when I get married, how do I know that this person is sexually compatible with me? And it was, and it was a legitimate question. And I'm bringing this just kind of because somebody asked. So I'm gonna keep, make it plain,
Mhm.
because, but you have to have something more than just what they can do for you in
That's
that moment.
correct.
Again, that's lust, because at the end of the day, genuine love doesn't start in the bedroom.
It does not.
It starts in that conversation.
Yes, it
It
does.
builds in that friendship. It's
That's right.
building while you're washing the dishes
That
and
is
you're
right.
taking, yes, marriage is for adults. It's for those
Yes.
moments when you're having conversations and you're going out and you're taking care of the kids and he's, doing his
That's
part, or,
right.
or even vice versa.
That's right.
That's where the genuine love is being built.
Yeah.
So it can't, if it's all about, I'm marrying this person or I want to be with this
Mhm.
person because they sexually satisfy me, then you have an unstable foundation from the beginning. And that's what
Correct.
we're talking about when we talk about
That's
lust.
right. That's right. Um, please repeat that. Well, she basically was saying the foundation is unstable. It's
Hmm.
not secure, which means as soon as adversity comes,
Hmm.
the relationship is going to fail
Hmm.
because there is no foundation. It was not rooted from the beginning. And so that's the problem.
Hmm.
Um, when we talk about sexual compatibility can grow and be learned, yes, it
Absolutely.
can be, it can.
Absolutely.
That is so true if they're willing to learn,
And
if they're willing to
mhm.
learn, because that's the biggest thing when it comes to relationships. A lot of times we're not willing to take the time to learn. We
Our
go
spouse.
in with former experience a lot
Uh-oh.
of time,
Say that.
thinking that we already know things. But just because you are the perfect or the ideal wife or the perfect or the ideal husband, it does not mean you are the perfect or ideal spouse for that next individual. Just because you
Mhm.
are a
Say
good
that.
woman, just because you are a quote unquote good man. So we have to get to the point to where we're willing to educate ourselves the more. When we talk about lust, we already know lust takes away. Lust is impatient. Lust violates. It
Mhm.
condemns. It's
Yes.
self-centered. It's greedy. It endangers us. It's
Oh,
disloyal. It
yes.
abandons us. Love do not abandon us when adversity
Yes.
takes place.
Oh, that's
Now,
good.
I'm not going to say that there's times that your I do is not I don't. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's like
sometimes
that.
it's not that I do is I don't. What happens is we go in and sometimes we on a cloud because we're not taking the time to really get an understanding of them vows. I
Mhm.
need a person to understand the vows prior to us even talking about the vows, so that when it says in sickness and in health,
Mhm.
when sickness come, because if we live to that ripe older age, I didn't say old, I said older, when we live to that age, things will
Mhm.
start to
Yeah.
happen. Things will start to shift. We
Mhm.
got to know how to be able to move with the shift.
Yes.
for better or for worse.
Mhm.
Because now we're talking, it can be anything that is better or worse. And a lot of times we correlate that to money. Well, money do answer all things. But at the same time, it's not that we love money. We're trying to take care of what's needed in
Mhm.
this world that we're staying in. So lust and love. You've never heard anyone say, I lust you.
Huh.
Come
Yes.
on now. We don't hear people say, I lust you, but you'll hear someone say, I love you. You'll hear someone say, I'm in love with you, but you will not hear someone say, I'm in lust with you.
No, because they're not
So
trying to mess things up. And
now look here.
look,
Now see,
no,
we try.
because in that moment,
Go
they,
ahead.
again, it's the selfishness.
Yes, it is.
They're trying to get what they want in that present moment. So no,
That's
they're
right.
not going to tell you, and that's why
right.
you have to be discerning. You have to
That's
be
right.
able to look at those, check out those red
Yes.
flags
That's
to
right.
know, if they're just calling you in the middle of the night. And I know this may sound like, okay, that's kind of childish, but we've got
No, it
young
is
people
not.
listening.
Yes, we
But
do.
we got old people doing
Yes,
the
we
same
do.
stuff, calling you at night.
Yes.
They don't talk, until absolutely,
That's
Dr. Moore.
it. That's
Money
it.
answers all things,
But
but
it's
it's the
not the
answer
answer
for
for
all
everything. I
things.
know that's right.
Yes, and there's times, and love has to supersede that,
Yes, it
because when you
does.
have love, that does cause you, you can stick together whether you're broke or whether you got good together,
That's it.
and being able to work through those challenges.
That's right.
But lust is just there for that moment.
That is
And
it.
like I said earlier, I know I was kind of joking, but
I'm so in
yeah,
love with
you
you.
were laughing at what you said. But it's true. You don't hear anybody say
No,
that,
you do
because
not.
again, in that moment, they don't want you to know that,
That's
because
right.
they're trying to get what they want. They will tell you everything. Well, here's the hold on. I think you're gonna be my wife.
But okay,
Oh,
now,
yeah.
okay, wait now, wait a
Yes,
minute. Now,
say that.
if this conversation and this communication is taking place only behind closed doors,
Mm-hmm.
when you're getting the sweet nothings into your ear. Now, if we stop and think on an intellectual basis,
Mm-hmm.
if the only time we can have a conversation is underneath the covers, on top of the bed, on top of the kitchen cabinet, wherever you want the top, if that's the only time we can have a
Say that.
conversation, that's the wrong type of conversation. If that's the only time that you're willing to communicate and bond with me and even communicate with me is behind closed doors, that is
Mm-hmm.
incorrect communication.
And that's the sign, like you said, of
Yes,
lust.
that's
Again,
lust.
it's the infamous booty call.
That's what it
we're gonna
is.
call it what
That's
it is.
what it is.
Because that's, if you can only be seen with me in the evenings, or you can't be seen with me in public in person, that's a
right.
booty call. And I know that you all may say, "Oh my God, you're talking about-" No, this stuff is happening
This
in the
is real.
church
It's
too.
in the
So
church.
and so we have to talk about it. And because it's happening from the top
Yes.
down.
Yes.
And we're hearing a lot of,
Yes.
even in the kingdom,
Yes.
that's being taught that it is
That's right.
okay
Right.
to do these things to gratify yourself.
Yes.
So we have some, I know we had a few questions that came up even last
Yes,
time.
we did.
And I'm going to hand those to you to tackle, but
Well,
look, I
remind
kinda
me
thought-
what they were.
yeah. Yes. So, because I believe in my heart, I just believe the best of people. Most people are not coming into a relationship because they are lusting.
Correct.
We have natural desires, and I want to point that out
Yeah,
too,
let's go.
because a lot of times we almost demonize sexual feelings or the desire for marriage, and that is a God-given desire. We have to remember,
Yes, we do. God
sex
made
was
this.
God's ideal.
Yes, it was.
Marriage was God's ideal. And a lot of times we say, "Oh, well, you want to get married because X, Y, and Z." Well, what business? Let them. Even Paul taught to avoid fornication. Let every man have his own wife, and every woman her own husband, to avoid fornication. But a lot of times nowadays in church, we don't. I won't say just in the church, but we don't really teach that. And then you've got a lot of people who are fornicating, and then when they do mess up, they feel like they cannot rebound and come back because of that, or they feel like they have to compromise when you don't, because people want to know, yeah, I hear that, I know I need to be properly sustained. I need to be on a certain position and place in life before, and stable emotionally, financially, and so forth, before I get married. But what do I do with these raging hormones
That's right.
after I've got done praying praying, after I got done fasting, those feelings are still there.
Yes.
So how would you recommend that people deal with those? Because I honestly believe the best of people. I believe the best of
Yes.
the saints.
Yes. Yes.
Most people ain't going around just looking, and yes, I
No.
said ain't y'all. So they're not going around looking, oh, I'm lusting after
That's
this
right.
and
That's right.
lusting after that.
That's
But I
right.
also, when you
Mhm.
answer that, I've got something else. Maybe I should
Okay.
go ahead and say it before I forget
Well, say it.
because
Say
it's
it.
rolling.
Say it.
But when I think of lust, if we have it's an insatiable desire.
Okay.
So we mentioned last time that marriage alone itself will not satisfy lust.
Correct.
And that's why you have to go back and deal with the root core of it and
Correct.
find out what is lacking
Correct.
inside of you that needs to be healed
Correct.
so that you'll be sufficient when you're able to come into your marriage and you'll be able to sustain your marriage.
Correct.
Also I wanted to know too, but for those who, because I was curious. Now I ain't gonna lie to you,
Okay.
because I had a question,
Throw
because
it out there.
and I know it's and I know, because I wanted to know,
Mhm.
and I had asked the individual, and I'm gonna be honest, and we keeping it anonymous, but I'm not,
Yes. Yes.
nobody on blast.
That's
I
right.
said, well, my question is, in
Mhm.
the church, for those, and don't get me wrong, this is for, we're talking to people who who are not eunuchs, who don't have that's the gift that
Yes.
Jesus talks about, the
Yes.
gift. How are they maintaining when those moments come?
Right.
How would you tell somebody? Because I know nobody wants to fall into that type of,
Right.
lust and get
Right.
stuck there, because
Right.
lust is one of those things. The Bible tells us to flee fornication. Don't even play with
Yes.
it.
It's
Don't
a
even,
stronghold.
yeah, it is.
It's
Don't
a
even
stronghold.
pretend like you're strong enough to deal
That's
with
right.
it.
That's right.
Because it's one of the things, sex, power, and money, that have brought many
Yes.
leaders, many people down.
Down.
So how would you suggest that people manage these feelings that they're feeling? Because they come. I mean, if
Yes.
you're living and you're in this body, you
Right.
have, especially I know for women, um, young or old, especially if you're still menstruating,
Yes.
there
So
are certain
now we're talking
times.
hormonal.
Yes.
Our hormones
Hormones.
start to
Yes.
fluctuate.
Yes.
And when the
Absolutely.
hormones start to fluctuate, we start going through them seasons to where I call it peak seasons. Those are peak seasons. Let's keep it nice.
Yeah.
So them peak seasons when hormones are starting to rage, that is the time that you need to have someone that this
We
is
do
the
too.
time. What he said, man, I wish I was in there. So that
We
is
do
the
too.
time that we have to be able to talk about it. But the next part is we have to be willing to have a person that is accountable to us so that we can reach out without feeling condemnation.
Yes.
That is the key. And I say that because, okay,
Really.
me and Jan, we're friends. Okay, we're good friends. We could talk about anything. Our wrong, our right, our coming up short. We can let it out. I'm not going to condemn her nor judge her. She will not do it to me.
No.
But what we will do is go on a fast and put this flesh up under subjection so we can regather ourselves, come together, and nail it down. Y'all play it. And so, but at the same time, though, we talk, and we're careful about what we hear, what we watch, and who we're entertaining.
Yes.
I'm going to say that again. What we hear, what we watch, and who we're entertaining, or what we're entertaining. Because a lot of them things will stir up your hormones.
Yes.
So you have to learn, as my mother stated, relax all. Yes, we have to learn how to relax, but at the same time, everyone don't understand what relax means. And my relaxation don't look like your relaxation. My relaxation, I'm gonna hit the track. I'm doing boxing, I'm jogging, I'm running. I mean, I'm bench pressing. That's my relaxation. I'm taking yoga. Those are the things that help me shift them hormones and keep me balanced, naturally speaking, and mentally speaking. Now, for Jan, she's not getting ready to go run with me.
No,
so when
at all, at all, at all. She's asked me a few times, and I had to really look at that because I'm already slender. For y'all who haven't seen me in person, so I'm not any kind of weight that I can get. I'm like, no, baby, I need to be cute. So I ain't running nowhere. No, I'm teasing, but I do believe in taking care of myself. But it's so important, like you said, protecting our ear gates. our
Yes.
eye gates. I know we
Yes.
don't talk about that a
But we
lot.
have to.
And you have to really look at, oh, that was good. Pivot
Yes.
your value system. You have to really
There it is.
understand your value. Great,
Yes. Great.
Dr. Moore.
Yes.
And you have to know, you have to look at what is most important to me.
That's right.
Is it important for me to have my gratification in this moment? I know when I have those moments, I have to get up. I have to go, like you said,
Shift the
yes,
mind.
shift my
Shift
mind.
the
I have
mind.
to be careful of what I watch. I have to
Yes.
set personal boundaries.
That's right.
Now, like you
That's right.
said, everybody's boundaries may not be the same. I
Correct.
remember at a particular time, and I would not allow men to call me after a certain hour. I didn't care if they were in the church or not.
That is
And most
correct.
times those were men, they were men in the church because everybody else
Yes.
outside
Yes.
had already left
Yes.
off because they knew I was saved.
Yes.
But those still that wanted to call from the church, they were just friends. But I had a cutoff point. 9 o'clock was my cutoff time. Don't call me.
That's right.
Because
But you're it's a valid point, Jen.
Mhm.
I mean, because what she's talking about with these boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everyone on here, let me just put the disclaimer out. Love versus lust tonight. This show, please, we ask that this is a mature audience because we are talking about some serious topics, and this is rated M for maturity. Okay, so with that being said,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say how she's speaking on these boundaries. When we're talking about these boundaries, the what's most important,
Mm-hmm.
exactly what's most important, but what not only what's most important, but also at the same time, some people value system is not like our value system.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you have to know
Yes.
yourself, but you also got to know your appetite. And we're going to say that in a nice politically way. You have to know your appetite when it comes to sex and intimacy, because those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're putting sex, lust, love, and intimacy all in the same basket, that's a problem to start with.
Yes.
Because they're not all the same. So we first have to educate ourselves. And then after we educate ourselves, we have to apply what we've learned. You
Mhm.
can't just get all this head knowledge and not apply it, because applying knowledge is wisdom.
Yes.
So once we apply the knowledge, now we have the wisdom to keep this flesh in order and under submission until the appropriate time. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, and I think that goes back, with Dr. Moore and what you were both saying is
Yes.
knowing yourself.
Yes.
And because that's all encompassed in knowing yourself.
Mhm.
And what it may take, again, for you may not be for somebody else.
Exactly.
And it's sometimes we look at it and, in certain ways, we have to make sure, even for myself, I know Sister Gail had mentioned, even the watching the music I listen to.
Exactly.
And you have to be so careful. And we used to think that was people try to make that, oh, you guys are so deep, you can't listen to this. No. I know me. And I know, what turns me on. I know what to watch.
We know what
And
messes
yes.
with them chemicals up here
And
in this brain.
yes.
Because everything that deals with our hormones,
Mhm.
everything that deals with sex, everything that deals with intimacy, everything is connected to the chemicals
Yes.
in this brain of ours.
And it goes back, it does. And you have to know yourself well
That's
enough,
right.
be able to and have those values in place.
That's right.
Because if you don't, you will veer off the track.
Yes, you will.
And I want to say this, even when you do have those moments and veer off the track, you can come back.
Yes, you can.
You don't have to stay out there and beat yourself up. Go ahead and ask
Yes.
God to forgive you. But then sometimes you may have to make it again. We talked about it last time, making a clean break.
Total break.
You have to change. You might have to change your phone number.
Yes.
If you were with somebody
Yes.
on your job, you may have to put separation between you.
Yes.
You may have to. Some people have had to leave jobs
Yes.
in order to sustain
Yes.
their purity that they were after.
Yes.
Some people had to leave churches
Yes.
to sustain their purity because of that opening themselves to with doors. And yes, Sister
Yes.
Patty, Elder Patty, excuse me, we
Yes.
must be honest with
Yes.
ourselves, and we have to know ourselves,
Yes.
and then take ourselves back to God.
And not only that,
Mhm.
if you're a person that you're not a spiritual person, and God is not the head of your life, so you're not going to relate to us on that
Mhm.
level, then I ask you, who's holding you accountable?
Yes.
Who are
accountability
you
is
accountable
everything.
to? Because accountability means a lot. So who are you accountable to? Who's accountable to you?
Mhm.
And what is your level of accountability? That's a
Mhm.
question we have to ask ourselves. Go ahead, so you can. And that's what we have to stop and ask ourselves, because first of all, we have to be honest and open and tell on yourself. Don't
Yeah.
allow people to put you in a box and bind you
Mhm.
to where you feel condemned or you feel shame. If I messed up, I messed up.
Yeah.
I don't need you to tell on me. I can tell on myself.
Mhm.
I can tell the good. I can tell the bad.
Yeah.
So, so
Look,
my thing
period.
is, period.
Yes.
That's my sister. So the thing that gets me is if you're in lust and I'm in lust with you, and you know that's where you're at that time, let that individual know, look,
Be honest.
I appreciate the attention that you were showing to me. I
Mhm.
thank you for the time that you was kicking it with me, but
Mhm.
this is not me.
I want more.
This is
Yeah.
not what I desire to keep
Mhm.
doing. This is not where I'm at in life. Look, I had a moment.
Mhm. It's
Flesh
it. It's
got
a
the
moment.
best of me. Now we both adults. We should be able to talk about this and move on,
Yes.
keep it cordial, and keep it moving. Now, I say that because a lot of times we get so high and mighty at times that we feel like we're unable to fall. You're the main person that's going to fall
Yes.
when you get beyond yourself, thinking that I'm beyond this,
Mhm.
I'm better than this. No, not one of us are better than falling, because we come to a place in life that at times, sometimes life happens.
Yes.
And when life happens, we're dealing with issues that are real. Now, when we talk about lust, let me share some pointers. I do not own this material I'm sharing with you. Now, I'm not saying that lust is totally bad. Okay, we are not saying that,
Mhm.
but we want you to understand that love is
Mhm.
not lust, and
No.
lust is not love.
Mm-mm.
Those are two total different entities. So when we talk about lust, we got lust, we
Mhm.
got attraction, and we got love.
Mhm.
Lust, when you're in the stage of lust, you feel physically attracted and drawn to the object of your affection.
Mhm.
I'm going to say that again. When you're in lust, in that stage, you feel physically attracted and drawn to the object
Mhm.
of your affection. That's the first key. I do not own this material I am sharing with you. Lust. Lust is driven primarily by our hormones. We know
Mhm.
in the man it's his testosterone, and in a woman we know it's our estrogen.
Estrogen.
Now sometimes they confuse, and you know the man got the estrogen and the woman got the testosterone. No, I'm playing, but
Well, we do have some
but yes, we
testosterone.
do.
Women do
But
have
you
some.
know, sometimes when you hear that, you know, they're aggressive or they're coming off extra strong or they're just always horny. That's let's talk on an adult level and
Mhm.
let's use proper terminology.
Yes.
That's what I asked first because we are mature adults. Now, when we talk about attraction, that's that second stage. You begin to obsess about the lover or you crave for that person's presence. That's the attraction piece of it. Now, when we go to that last piece of it, we talk about the attachment. The attachment involves wanting to make a more lasting commitment to that loved one. This is the point at which we may move in together, we're getting married, we're having children, we're building a family. That's the attachment piece. But before we can get to the attachment piece, we got to conquer the lust.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, how you gonna throw me out like that? But but it's so true. And when you said that, something, girl, something boiled in my blood. When
Go
you talked
ahead.
about, and that's not to judge anybody, but
That's right.
I don't say anything that I don't even teach my own girls.
I know that's
And,
right.
and that's one thing is, when you're in lust, if and we want to talk about that
Yes,
because
we
is there
do.
ever a time that lust can then develop into love?
Yes, it can.
And I believe that yes,
Yes,
it
it
can.
can.
And we have to be
Yes, it
careful
can.
with that because I'm sorry, it kind of hit a pet peeve because I I'm sorry, yeah.
Give her a
Because
moment.
yes, because I look at it, I look at the fact, kickstand. All right, I
I
like
know
that.
that's
Scotty.
right. I
No one
know
feels
that's
that a
right.
kickstand attachment anyone thought that is so
You
true.
better say it.
And we have to be careful. That's why we don't have anybody to throw away.
No, we don't.
We don't have any place to judge or
No,
condemn
we do
people
not.
because the moment you elevate yourself, that's when you're going to fall.
You're coming down.
And so you have to be careful. Because I've learned in life that the ones that do fall are the ones God will restore and bring back to deliver the others. And
That's right. That's right.
but when you're looking at that, sorry, that pet peeve thing kind of hit me about the, if you're going to be making a commitment, And I know I'm great. It's probably step on some toes
That's
here.
okay. Go ahead.
Yes. But if we're at the point of moving in, if I'm good enough to sleep with, I should be good enough to marry.
Now, if let's take that a little deeper. If be careful for nothing. All right, now,
Yes.
now, I love what you said, but let's make it a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
If you can talk to me on the phone at all times of the hour,
Mm-hmm.
all times of the night, and you can talk to me about your desires,
Mm-hmm.
your needs, your wants, what you would like to do to me, then why can't we have a serious conversation about commitment,
Yeah. All right.
attachment,
Mm-hmm.
forsaking all other
Mm-hmm.
until death do us part? Can we have that type of conversation? Because if you can tell me about your wants, I can tell you about my needs. If you can tell
All
me
right.
about what you need me to do for you, I can tell you what I'm asking from you.
All right. Say that again. That was some serious stuff. But it was good. And it's and it's on point because a lot of times we don't check our value
No, we
system.
don't.
And it goes back to what Dr. Moore was saying earlier, that value system.
Value
We don't
system.
check our value system and we allow anything
That's
to
right.
happen.
Yes.
And then we throw it off as, especially when I hear about marriage, I've heard people say, oh, it's just a piece of paper. Well, it may be a piece of paper
Yes.
because there is a piece of paper involved. You
Yes,
do
it
have to
is.
sign
Yes, it
documents,
is.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, it is.
But there's some benefits that come with that paper that you can't get being a substitute
That's
or
right.
whatever,
That's right.
a girlfriend.
That's right. Oh, no,
And
it's that friends with benefits.
yeah, there's no benefit. There is no benefit. There may be again the lustful benefit, but there's no lasting benefit because
And I think
legally speaking, so too.
I think what the I think the biggest thing that we got to remember when it comes to lust,
Mm-hmm.
lust takes over.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, lust gets out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Love is patient.
Yes.
Love is kind. Lust is not.
Mm-hmm.
Lust becomes controlling. Lust becomes demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Lust starts to
Yes.
take over the whole relationship.
Mm-hmm.
The only time you're really interacting is when you're having sex or you're having intercourse
Yeah.
or you're having relations. However you want to label it,
Yes.
it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to stop and really consider our values. And I think we're connecting the church with those that are not in the church. May the okay. But it's benediction time, huh? We done brought the message, but no, seriously though, I mean we're almost almost done, but I want to read something to you. This is First Corinthians 13,
Mm-hmm.
and I would quote it to you, but being that I'm on the airway, my nerves get the best of me at times, and so I start to forget things.
That's okay.
So I'm going to read it. How about that? So First Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 8, it says, love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not boast. It is not arrogant and it is not rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoice with the truth. Love never ends.
Yes.
And I wanted to break that scripture down, and it may not be King James version because I do a lot of the NIV for the edification, the clarification. And so the thing that gets me, sometimes they can tell you good things about marriage, and then what happened? Then you marry them and things change. Well, I'm gonna tell you, things do change, and a lot of times things change because we stop growing. So if one person in a relationship grows and the other person is stagnant, you're going to have a battle.
Mm-hmm.
We are to grow together. And we are to grow and go forward. Mm-hmm. We cannot be stagnant, meaning we stop growing. Our needs, they change as we age. Mm-hmm. Our desires, they change as we age. Our wants, they change as we age. Love don't end. If love end, it's because it's where you're at in that season. So there's a season that we go through in our relationships that will make you believe I don't love them anymore.
Yes, say that.
That is just a season. A lot of times, just because we have hurt, we have resentment, we have bitterness, we even let hatred start to grow to the point to where we feel as if we can strangle them. Just say one more word. But but it's not that the love has ended. Love takes work.
Yes, it does.
Relationships take
work.
work. Lust don't take any effort.
Mm-mm.
Lust don't take any effort. Love takes effort. Love takes work. That's why a lot of times people will not tell you, I'm in lust with you.
Yeah. And you
Go
and you
ahead.
gotta have you gotta have two people willing to do the work.
That's right.
And that's
right.
how it, you have to be willing to do the work. Like Elder Sand said too,
Yeah.
Elder Bailey, excuse me, said,
Mhm.
love, grow together.
That's right.
You grow, you evolve, you
That's
change,
right.
you go
That's
through
right.
seasons of life.
That's right.
And sometimes, even though we talk as single women, again, we were married. Sister Brandy, you were married 18
I
and a
was
half
married
years.
for 18 and a half years.
And I was married for 5.5 years.
Yes.
But even in that time, it
Yes.
took both of us. There were many days,
Yes.
I was ready to walk out the door. He was ready to leave. Like, forget this. I don't know what we signed up for.
Yes.
But when we begin to stick and stay
Yes.
and conversate
Yes.
and find out the core of each other, you have to learn your spouse.
Yes, you do.
You can't,
That's
like you
good.
said earlier,
That's
you have to
good.
learn your spouse. It was even like we mentioned even earlier, even when it comes to the sexual part, you have to learn your spouse.
them.
You have to learn what
Yes.
satisfies them. Yes, absolutely. Any relationship requires a participation. That is so true.
That
You
is
have
true.
to have participation
Yes.
from both parties.
Yes.
One can't be doing all the work all of the time.
That's not balance.
It's not. It's not. And but to go back to the love does
Yes.
real genuine love
Yes.
lasts. And
It
that's why
does.
we want to have this teaching on tonight,
Yes.
because what we call love in the world is not what God calls love.
It is not.
And God says love lasts.
That's
And
right.
his love does last.
Yeah.
When we understand who we are in
Yes.
Christ, when we understand who God is and what he designed love for,
Right.
we know that it is lasting. Again, it upholds, it's faithful,
Yes.
it protects. Doesn't mean it, and on this list that we're looking at, we never saw that love was perfect.
That's right. And
But
that's a good point. Love is not perfect. Love hurts.
Yes.
Love hurts at times because we allow ourselves to hurt instead of communicating.
Yes.
If we learn to communicate, the love would not hurt, because we start to hold people hostage, and we have to let them go.
Forgive.
We got to forgive people when they mess up, because none of us are perfect. We're all going to mess up. We're in this together. It should be a unit that we're growing into unity.
Yes. And that's a process.
And that's a process. You heard me say we're growing. And it's a process. And that's how it feels. It feels like, are we ever going to get there? Are we there yet? But
yes,
it's a work in progress. But I want to share a few points because since we're on this angle, and since we're driving this way, let's just kind of share before we wrap this up. Jan will have the final words. For you that are in a relationship, first we have to understand that lust, attraction, and attachment, they all balance themselves when you're in a relationship. But the first thing is we got to remember that lust is not love in our relationship. We have to keep the chemicals in our brains flowing and healthy. So we got to keep our minds stable and keep our minds correct in order for us to be able to grow in our relationships. If you want to keep a long-term relationship, we have to also know how to keep intimacy in our relationships. We got to know that sex don't start in the bedroom. Sex starts when you call me and say, how was your day, babe?
Yes, yes.
How was your day, babe? Was it stressful? What can I do to help? You want to talk about it? That's when the intimacy starts. Babe, Did you check the bills on top of the fireplace? We need to talk about them.
Mhm.
It's time to sit down and write it out and make it plain. That's where intimacy kicks in before we ever make it to the bedroom. The last point that I want to share, how to maintain some independence.
Yes.
Even when you're in a relationship and you have a great relationship, you're going to go through seasons.
Absolutely.
You have to remember how to maintain your independence. These are not my words. I just want to make sure that this credit goes to the counselor that has the PhD already. It says, if you're the jealous type, you're controlling, you need to start developing your own activities, your own friendships, and make yourself feel important and care about yourself. Stop depending on the opposite sex, which is your partner, to make you feel fulfilled, to make you feel like they're the only friend you have in the world. That's how you're making them feel. Every time they go somewhere, you're on their coattail. You have to learn how to have a relationship with you.
Mhm.
Baby, did you leave? What did she say?
Did you leave me some money?
Did you leave some money? Long as we got a balance.
Yes.
Long as we got a balance in this relationship. Go ahead.
No, and I thought that was so really good how you wrap this up with that, because it is, you still have to, even when you're in love, and again, we're talking about love in all of its beautiful benefits.
Yes.
You still have to have a level of independence.
That's right.
And matter of fact, before you even enter into a relationship, you need to be able to have, evangelist.
That's it.
Yes, you must have that type of relationship with yourself. You will hear me say, and some people heard me say, and they laughed at me, I date myself. And when I say that, I don't mean I'm dating myself as I'm aging myself. No, I don't mean that kind of date. I mean, I will take myself out to a 5-star restaurant because I love Valentine's Day. That's one of the things I do for myself. And I don't just wait until Valentine's Day to treat myself, but I take myself out. I went and took myself to a 5-star restaurant, drove up to valet parking, let them open the door for me and escort me out. Look, I put my hand out there, let them take my hand and lead me out of the car. But and that's not all the things, of course, that you can do to treat yourself well, but treat yourself well. Have your own identity before you come into a relationship. Because if you have your own identity, you have your own goals, you have your own things that you do for yourself personally, then you will come into marriage and a new relationship balanced, and you will give that person something to look forward to. Because there's, like you said, there's nothing more boring than coming home and and I'm not
whatever you like.
Like
Dr. Moore made it so plain. What would you like to do? Whatever you like.
Yes.
Where would you like to go? Wherever you want to go.
Yes.
What would you like to eat? Whatever you want to eat.
Yes. And see, and I will tell young women, even on my job, they come and talk to me about their relationships and different things. And I tell them, I say, you're what I call super single, meaning you ain't got no husband, you don't have children. You should be traveling the world. Get you a passport. Go see the world. Don't stay just in Indiana or in your home states. Go take you a road trip. Do different things to take care of you. And this could be applied to the men also. I'm just talking about the young women I talk to. But even men, take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Groom yourself. Look out for yourself. Keep your beards lined. Keep yourself fit and healthy, so that you're able to sustain yourself once you're in a marriage, and you're able to be that fit partner for your spouse. And again, it just comes back to having that own identity. Yes.
Love heals.
Yes.
Love can help sustain your life.
Mm-hmm.
Love can give you life.
Yes.
Love can heal. When there is love, love can heal. As we're starting to wrap this up, we just want to say thank you all for your interaction. Thank you all for your participation. We're thankful in this new season that we're in. We don't know it all. We don't have all the answers. No. We're yet learning. We're both in school